All right, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Enough to Keep Going podcast here on the E2KG network. We are halfway through August at this point. We've got lots of games kind of coming down the pipe. Well, maybe not as many games coming down the pipe as we would have thought, but this is not the news deep dive episode. That will be next week on the Enough to Keep Going podcast. Every other week on the Enough to Keep Going podcast, we come at you with the gaming industry news, analysis, and a deep dive industry episode. On those off weeks, on the every other week, we are here with our GX show, with our game experience show, with our what you've been playing, with our playlist show, and that is what we are here tonight, which is actually, this is just like, the beauty of this is it is just us talking about what we're playing, how we're feeling about it, good or bad, fun or not so much. But it is 3 friends, 4 friends, parents, dads, professionals talking about how we squeeze life out of our games, how we squeeze games in between our life. And joining me here tonight to do that is Osiris Prime. How are you, Prime?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Excellent.
Ready to talk games.
Hear it. That is good. And also, SwissGuard. How are you, sir?
I'm doing good. I had corned beef and cabbage tonight, so it always puts me in a good mood after I have an Irish meal.
I'm glad your beef and cabbage is putting you in a good mood, and that we are far enough away to not have to worry about any other effects of beef and cabbage. So that is good as well. So every other week when we do the playlist show, we also, because we are parents and professionals, we like to give ourselves maybe some homework, maybe something that we think will grow ourselves, maybe some assignments, some projects that need to be managed and taken care of. And so we give ourselves a gaming assignment. Oftentimes this is a genre or a theme. This is often around news that is going on at the same time, which we'll get to at the end of this episode when we assign ourselves something for the next 2 weeks. But 2 weeks ago, we were coming right off of the Microsoft Xbox conference. We had a number of British studios with Playground Games, with Turn 10. We've got so we were looking at British studios, their games, some of the sensibilities of them, and some other aspects there. So we've got a couple different aspects and a couple different games here. I'll talk about the Molecules, Dreams, and Dreams in VR more specifically. Prime, you're going to talk about Hello Games' No Man's Sky. And Swiss, you are maybe not in so much the letter of the law, but you are definitely in the spirit of the law with Sherlock Holmes Crimes and Punishments, which is actually done by a Ukrainian studio. But, you're right. Like, it says Sherlock Holmes.
It says either a game that takes place in England, portrays a British character, or is developed by a UK studio. I think I'm actually
that is true.
Way more than you guys
are.
You
are very much, yes. I, as the host and the teacher grading our assignments today, I understand that yes, you looked at the entire syllabus and you found the loophole in my assignment. So that is great, and you will get full credit, sir. So why don't you go ahead and get us started with a game that takes place in England and portrays a British character.
All right, so I did Sherlock Holmes Crimes and Punishments. I think this was one of the free giveaways on the Epic Store back when, which I'm really mining those for these PickzPlayz. Anytime we get a theme, I can go back into my free Epic Store backlog and seem to find something. But set in 1895, you play Sherlock Holmes, and it's very British. When I first booted up the game, I had to grab my wife, who's my mother-in-law is actually from Great Britain, so they're like kind of, and she actually was over here, so I brought him in and I was showing him like the all the Victorian kind of design in Sherlock's house on Baker Street. So that was kind of neat. You got Queen Victoria's portrait on the wall in the and Scotland Yard and everything. It was very British. And they did a good job with Sherlock's character. I don't think this was the first of these Sherlock Holmes games that Frogware, I think, made. But he had his dry, very droll British humor and accent, and all that was excellent. I played through one case. I guess the game is broken into multiple cases that you can play. So in that sense, it's rather bite-sized. It took a day or two for me. Like, I did it over a couple of days, played through the first case, murder mystery. And, I enjoyed it. I think I'm not like a fan of the structure of the game as much. I enjoyed the characters and the dynamics of the case, but I just kept feeling like, I'd really just like to sit back and watch an episode of Sherlock with, Benedict Cumberbatch or whatever, rather than, okay, I gotta go through and, you scan the room, and a lot of the ways they do it, I'll give them credit. It's clever. Like, you go in the room, you can set it to focus, and then as you move the mouse, something might kind of flash at you to let you know, hey, Sherlock has, detected this. And
when your Sherlock vision.
Yeah, when you're talking to a character, you can go into you have to go to this mode where you'll kind of like in slow motion scan across their body, and you have to mouse over and pick out all the things. So the first, the lady, you'll see her, and it's like, well, she has this, so it means she was there. And he kind of like creates a character portrait or a profile with his Sherlock deductive vision, and that's all very cool. There's some as you get clues, you'll have a place where you kind of compile the clues, and it lets you kind of map them together, and Sherlock deduces something from it until you ultimately can deduce the outcome of the case. It gives you some flexibility. I think you could actually deduce it incorrectly and let it go through, and at the end it kind of tells you, 81% of the people deduced the same that you did, and you get like a case resolution and then like a moral resolution. So in the first case, first case I actually found the murderer, but given the extenuating circumstances that I discovered, I helped him kind of skirt past Scotland Yard and tied it up. You know what I mean?
Really? So in terms of how you discover the evidence, so it's not a linear path, right? Like, so
it tells you how many. It tells you how many clues you get. So like, I was bouncing around. There were some times when I would have to go back, and then I discover another clue. And then sometimes if you discover one thing, it'll kind of open it up so you can find a few more clues. So I was able to find like all the clues across this particular case, and it was neat to see like the breakdown of how many people deduced it the same way I did versus how many people deduced the same moral that I did. Like, so that was all kind of neat. It was fun. It again, with these PickzPlayz, they're good to do like a little bit outside your wheelhouse. And I thought overall it was clever. It's just not my thing. It was a lot of kind of clicking around and moving the mouse around the screen until the thing pops out, and it's just not as active as I'd like. But I did an arm wrestling. They had this arm. There's a lot of mini games in it. So like I was arm wrestling a guy in a bar. I was throwing a whaling harpoon through a pig carcass. Just all sorts of little quirk things that they would pull for Sherlock Holmes. Those aren't too huge spoilers, but just fun little things. It was enjoyable enough, but it's not going to be something that I'm going to seek out to put in my normal gaming rotation, I think.
So are the cases original, or are they based on kind of classic Sherlock Holmes works?
I don't really know enough about Sherlock Holmes. I've not read Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, so I don't know. But given the scope of this particular case, my guess is it was probably not in the book. I feel like it was fairly. I mean, it wasn't cut and dry, but I don't feel like it would have lasted a novel length, type thing.
Sure. Neat.
But that's
Okay.
also maybe good because for a player like me, like I can get through the case and move on. It's not something that you have to that takes too much time.
So are the cases self-contained, or is there any type of like connective tissue between them at all?
My guess is they're self-contained, but I haven't played enough to know to be able to answer that validly.
Cool. Great. So that from a game outside of a wheelhouse to a game very much inside of someone's wheelhouse, Osiris Prime, you have been spending more time with No Man's Sky, but I also know from looking at your Xbox Online status that you've been playing this game well before it was assigned to you. So how far are you? I mean, I know that you picked this up a year ago when it launched on Xbox. You've kind of chipped away at it at different points in time. We've talked about it a little bit before in terms of space games, but where are you at? How are you liking some of the new updates? Have you tried some of the horror stuff, or what's your current status of your ships and bases?
Yeah, so I kind of had an ulterior motive to pick this game, only because I haven't really played all that much in the last couple of weeks, or actually the last few weeks, because I haven't been on the show in a while. So I wanted to throw this in there just because, obviously, it's Hello Games, and they're based in the UK. But also just so I can talk about it more, just because I haven't really had a chance to. I did play a little bit of the Derelict Freighters, which is the new update, Desolation. It was fun the first time I did it, but I haven't done it since. It just kind of seemed like a one and done for me. Like going through, it probably took me maybe a half hour to go through the one that I did, and I think that's pretty much the time for most of them. They're procedurally generated, so they kind of move around. The layout moves around, but I'm assuming what you do is probably pretty much the same. You're just kind of going through there and just like looking for stuff. Basically, there's kind of a storyline because there's like data pads where you can kind of read like the ship's manifest from the people on the ship or the captain. I think it's just the one person maybe sometimes, and that's kind of interesting. It's kind of cool to kind of just go through and you go like every other room or so, maybe every room has one of these data pads where you kind of pick up the story. So that's kind of cool. But I mean, in the end, it doesn't really matter because it'll just change for the next one. It's not like it keeps going or anything. Like when you hit the next one, which I guess kind of makes sense because I don't know how like one crew is gonna like derelict like a 9 million ships or something. So, but
So
it
are
was
the
kind of
derelict
cool.
ships procedurally generated as well, or are they kind of authored content?
Yeah, no, they're procedurally generated. Yeah. So, and even the storyline you get each time is supposed to be different. Even though I've seen some people say, they get the same story each time. But I think that was just like a bug in the game when it first came out or in the update. So, which is fine. It's kind of cool. I mean, you're kind of stuck. You're not stuck in first person. You can still switch between first and third person views, just like you can in the normal game. But your movement is a lot slower because there's no atmosphere, in the ship. So you get your little, your space boots that are like magnetized or something. So you're not like floating around or anything. But your movement's slower. So in that way, it kind of gives you that horror kind of a feel because it's kind of more slow and methodical. You can't really run, as far as I remember. And then the one ship that I did, obviously, since there's no atmosphere or anything, it's like, it's cold, but there's like heaters, heat, like lamps or whatever that, are within each little section or room or every few rooms. So you can kind of jump over to that and it kind of recharges your shield for you too. So that's kind of nice. There's supposed to be creatures kind of floating around and trying to come after you, but when I did it, I was like, you can kind of see like these kind of sacks and kind of these bulges of like masses of stuff like all around the ship, and I just shot them right away. So I don't know if they're supposed to like pop out even before I shot them, or was I supposed to leave them alone? I don't know. I just shot them and nothing ever came out. So I don't know if I killed them beforehand. So I was like, okay, because all the videos I see, I always see these little creatures like scurrying around. They kind of look like the Flood almost, but they're like greenish color. But then there's like kind of robotic. I guess it's like the ship security or whatever. Those things are kind of floating around. Those are pretty easy to kill, at least for me at the point I was. There's sentry guns; those are a little harder. I couldn't destroy those at the time I did it. Now I probably could because I've updated my weapons and stuff, my gun. So, but like I said, it was fine. I mean, I'll probably go back and do it at one point, only because I did find out later on that there is so the different frigates that you can purchase and send off on missions and stuff. To upgrade those, there's what they call frigate salvage something or other. I forgot what the total name was, but you could find those in those derelict ships. Which, other than that, I've never really seen a way to get those. Supposedly, you can get them when you send your frigates out on missions, but I've done like a bunch of missions now because I was trying to get some more of those to upgrade my not only the frigates, but you can upgrade your freighter. And I never get anything. I just get like units and like different kind of materials and stuff. So I was like, I'm not sure what's going on here. So I guess you have to do it now. Maybe or unless maybe they changed it over to the derelict freighters. It's more, where you can find those more. So I'll have to do that again, just to get more of those. So, but it's fine. I'll probably at some point I'll probably go back to it. Excuse me. And yeah, I probably played maybe 10 hours ish before I started going back into it these last few months, and I'm up to 106 or 7 hours now. So I've been playing it a lot. I slowed down a little bit this past week, a week and a half, just because I've been busy, with life and stuff. But I'm definitely gonna go back. I've built bases now, a couple bases, nothing like super huge or complicated, but I built some bases, mostly for the storyline part of it, because you kind of unlock different stuff. I was able to unlock all the ground vehicles finally, which is what I really wanted to do. Like I said, I upgraded my weapon, my multi-tool weapon. I've upgraded a couple of ships. I got a few more that I'm gonna upgrade, just because I've actually found a bunch of exotics. I think the last time I talked about it, maybe a few weeks ago, a month ago, I actually had, I think just one exotic, and I got like 3 more like in the next 3 days consecutively, which was just unheard of basically. So I was like really surprised I was able to get one like each day. So it was pretty cool. So those are like super powerful. Like you can even like without upgrading them, they're pretty powerful. Like I didn't upgrade any of the weapons or anything at when I first got them, and I was just like destroying all the pirates and stuff that come at you like for most of the time, or like when the freighters call for your help and stuff like that. So it's actually pretty nice now. I'm trying to think of what else I've done. I went through the story now. I've gone through Atlas. So I didn't reset the game.
One of the original story ones, right? That's what I remember. Or it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like the main story mission that you go through. Yeah.
Yep.
So at the end of that, they say reset the game, but basically you can just you can fly to a different galaxy. It's just like a different name, and I don't know if like things are totally different or if they're slightly different or if it's just called a different galaxy. I don't know. I'm not sure. I didn't do it because I didn't at the time. I didn't know if that was gonna like totally reset everything. And then I found out later you like kind of starts you over. You have a broken ship again, like you did when you first start, but you still have all your stuff. Like you don't totally start over, so that's kind of nice. So,
yeah, but by that time you're attached to your ship and you've got all kinds of other stuff, and you want to keep that. Yep.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it breaks it, but I mean, you could just repair it again, like you did, like when you originally start the game. So,
okay.
I mean, it's just a matter of getting the materials, which I probably would already have. I'm not even sure at that point if I could probably call in my freighter and just bring down another ship. I don't know if that's even possible. But
so,
yeah, I mean,
were you just too advanced to like? Were you so far advanced that you were like overpowered for that point in the game? Like if you just basically, my ship's broken, I'll just look through my ship stores and be on my way again.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely could have, especially if I can get my freighter in. I got like a bunch of stuff, and I got like tons of space, tons of storage in my freighter, and I've just been throwing stuff in there. So I mean, I'm sure I'd have all the materials that that would be needed to repair it. So I shouldn't be a problem. There's no like that storyline. There's like no combat or anything. You're just kind of following the Atlas space station ship, whatever it is, kind of around the galaxy. So, which I thought was a little tedious near the end, or like second half of it, because I didn't realize as you find it, he gives you like a blueprint for like a certain material or whatever, orb thing. I mean, they're called different things. I didn't realize I had to create those each time. So when I did get to the end, I had to go all the way back and start and kind of create each one like one by one, so that was kind of a pain in the butt too. But I did it finally, and I think I have to do that again basically if I want to reset the game. So, which is not a big deal. Like I said, once again, I got all the materials. But yeah, I'm still playing it though. Like I said, I still want to go through, and I'm doing for some reason like the base. I guess not storyline. Oh, I guess it's a storyline or a mission that you start. Even though I built like 2 other bases, I guess that like whole storyline is like tied to the first one that you created, which I didn't realize. So I had to go back to my original base, and now I'm going through that to get all the blueprints that you get from there. So eventually I'll fix that. I've done a few of the Nexus. Is it Nexus missions, which is the online.
Yep.
Yeah, which is the online kind of multiplayer missions. I found out you can just do them though. You don't need to do anything in multiplayer. I mean, it's easier I think if you do go into a multiplayer, because I found out like a couple of them I did were just like, hey, you got to find like certain animals or a certain material, and like it took me forever on some of those. I'm assuming if you had like 3 or 4 people, it'd be a lot easier because you can comb the planet and find it a lot quicker. But like take a section of the planet. But I was able to just do it by myself. I don't remember seeing any fighting missions, so maybe those might be a little bit harder, like if you only have the one person. So I have to try to get those. And the one thing with the Nexus missions is you get, I forgot the unit. There's another form of currency that you get for the Nexus missions, which you would think is kind of like V-Bucks or something like that, but you just get them all in game. You don't have to you don't have to pay real money for them, which is kind of nice. But you just kind of have to grind the missions. And then you get like different building materials and colors and like jetpack stream colors and stuff like that. So I'm just kind of grinding through those here and there just to buy something eventually. Yeah, I mean that's about it. But I'm just still having a lot of fun with the game. I go off and explore every once in a while when I'm done with the base stuff. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I love that you said, well, that's about it. But I mean, like, you've listed like content of multiple different games, right? Like, the fact that there's this much content in this game this long after release, there's just so much. And even the content of like within its first year, like the Atlas missions, you're still finding rewarding, you're still finding enjoyable. That there's so many avenues in this game for people to kind of go down their own path and find the pieces that they enjoy. So that's why I'm chuckling, because you're like, oh, that's just it. But there's so much in this game, and it really is a testament.
Your enthusiasm makes me want to like pick it up again, but like all the stuff you can do makes it intimidating almost.
It is kind of overwhelming because I will get sidetracked. There's this whole thing, and I don't know if this is new or not, or like within the last couple of big updates, where you can you change your scanner now, where it detects like underground deposits of the different minerals, and then you can set down like miners to mine that, and you can just set it and leave. You don't have to like just sit there and wait and look at it. It'll just do it, and then you set up like other storage tanks that kind of fill that up. So that's another way I was kind of making money and making the nanites, which you kind of need for to buy other upgrades for your ship and your suit and your multi-tool and stuff like that. Which I guess that's one of the things I kind of hate, like the different currencies. It's like, oh man, now what? I always get confused. Like, all right, what do I need to buy the upgrades and stuff like that? So it's kind of have to go back and forth with the currency, which is kind of a pain, but it's fine. I mean, you get used to it. I think there's like 3 different things I think right now. So there's just like regular units, there's the nanites, and then there's the Nexus, whatever that money is called too. So it's I guess how they're kind of tacking on stuff though. So it's nice, and they update. Like even after that big Desolation update, I think they've done like 2 other updates that've kind of added stuff and obviously fixed bugs and all that. But supposedly there's another fairly big update that's supposed to come out sometime into the next month or so. So we'll see. But yeah, definitely still enjoying it, and lots to do still with this. There's farming, there's all this other kind of stuff you can do, and I haven't even really gotten to that other than just doing it for like the base missions that you had to do it for. So, but yeah.
Well, and the beauty of all that is it's free to people who own the game, right? All of us on the podcast have purchased this game in some capacity, on different consoles or on PC, that all the things that you're talking about are available to everyone who owns the game, right? It's not a season pass, it's not a battle pass, it's not expansions, it's not paid DLC. It is just. But this goes back to kudos to the developer of Hello Games, right? They just keep putting content out and making it available to the widest audience possible.
Yeah, and like I said, that they could have easily have had either put that Nexus money behind some kind of paywall or something if they wanted to, but they didn't, so that was pretty cool. I had another comment, I forgot now, but yeah, I'm having a lot of fun with the game. So I just wish they upped the ship, the maximum number of ships you can get, because it's only 6 right now, and it's like there's so many different ships that are in the game, and just some of them like just even if they're like a lower class, because there's different classes of ships. So I've seen some of the lower class ships just look like awesome. I was like, oh man, I want that, but I can't because I'm trying to collect all, if not most, of the exotics right now. So I kind of have to like pick and choose. It's kind of a bummer. But yeah. Oh, I remember now. So I have the S and the X Xbox. I played on both. I mean, it looks pretty good on the S, but man, you can really tell the difference when you jump onto the X. It's like, wow. So I was just thinking, like, if they, if this goes on to the next generation systems, that would be like totally amazing. Like some of the visuals, even the visuals now, they're like, I mean, they're pretty spectacular, especially on some of the exotic planets, like where it's just like weird, like cube type creatures and like columns of light coming from creatures in the ground and all this other stuff. So I mean, hopefully they upgrade it to the next generation, and hopefully it'll look awesome. So we'll see. That's it. Although that kind of doesn't. There's no British stuff in there other than the developer.
Okay. Yeah, right. But that was part of the assignment. So no, I'm just thinking of, there was a time when there were multiple stages when I've had screenshots from No Man's Sky as my wallpaper on my phone, right? Because there are, like, just going through the No Man's Sky Reddit, there are just beautiful pictures of some of these kind of procedurally generated exotic lands, and it's really kind of spectacular in a kind of foreign space type of way. So it's neat.
Yeah, even just some of the regular planets, just kind of the lighting and stuff, you can get some really cool pictures. Yeah, that's another thing. I kind of just take a quick one every once in a while, like when I see a strange creature and stuff like that. But for the most part, I'm kind of leaving that alone for now. And I guess so it's procedurally generated, but I guess they kind of dialed that back after the initial release, even on the Xbox side. Because I do remember, like, the animals and stuff used to be like super varied, but now now that I'm exploring a little bit more, I kind of see the the samey type of animals. So I know that's one of the big things on the Reddit, that people are like, hey, can get that variety back in there, and even I guess for some of the ships and stuff like that too are kind of samey. Even though I've seen some of the ships, I played a few days ago and I'd seen like a couple of ships I'd never saw before. So I mean, there's still a bunch of stuff out there to come out at me, so surprise me.
Cool. All right. Well, I'm going to quickly give my assignment, and then we'll move on to our round robin rundown, because we've got lots of games to cover, gentlemen. So mine is another British studio with Media Molecule, right? These are the developers of Little Big Planet, Tearaway, Mod Nation Racers, maybe back on PlayStation 3, maybe not. I'm trying to think if they were. I don't think so.
I'll check,
because Little Big Planet had its own racer, so no, it's not Mod Nation Racers. But Dreams, and I played some Dreams VR. So back in late July, the Dreams VR patch came out for PSVR. It starts up with Media Molecule kind of demo tutorial about how to move in Dreams using the Move controllers. And then it kind of turns you out. Like in most things in Dreams, there's some developer-created content, but the real amazing stuff, the kind of goofy, wacky, does it work, or am I gonna break it? Is all the fan-created, the user-created content. And so there are things in Dreams VR of that are kind of wave-based shooters with the Move controllers. There are remakes of Beat Saber. Some of them work okay, and some of them are pretty janky. the beautiful thing about dreams, and I've talked about it before on this podcast multiple times, is because every, I check in on it maybe once a month, every 2 months, and just kind of, it's like gaming tapas. It's like these are all little pieces of bite-sized snippets, demo levels or little visual experiences or sound experiences. These are not things that are going to kind of hook you in to the kind of No Man's Sky 100 some hours of losing yourself in the world, but it is like touring. It is. I'm thinking of it almost like touring a conference presentation, right? Like I'm jumping in between a whole bunch of different little snapshots of people's game ideas, or it's the demo station on on an arcade cabinet where I'm getting just a little taste of that game without really spending a whole lot of time in it. And that's the fun part about Dreams, is it's just this kind of creativity exploration tool. And whether it's in VR or if it is in regular, there's just so much there that continues to be added, that continues to, even now, the fun part about going back at 4 months after launch is that some of the things that were janky early are still janky, but some of the things have been refined, or there's a version 2 of them out there, or you see similar creators and you can kind of look at creators' pages and you see how they've evolved some of their mechanics, some of their game design elements throughout their different iterations. So again, if you haven't tried Dreams, it's only $30. I'm sure we're going to see this fall it taking a price cut, and for $20, it's a wonderful gaming experience that is just full of the potential of us as players, and so it's fun to kind of dig around in that. So let's move from one. Do you have a?
I was just going to ask if you've contributed any content or your family.
I have not. If my work life was not as crazy as it is, if I really was off and quarantined in COVID times and not working double because of short-staffed, I probably would have had more time to mentally invest in it. And maybe that is also why Dreams is wonderful, because it is short little experiences, so I don't have to necessarily mentally invest in a ton. But it is, no, so I haven't played around with that enough to give one way or the other. So.
And real quick, Mod Nation Racers was developed by United Front Games. It was not
excellent. Thank you.
Meaty Monaco.
So I fact-checked myself, and I appreciate the backup. So let's move from one PlayStation exclusive with Dreams to another. So just a couple of weeks ago, you didn't have a chance to join us, and Agasicles and I talked through his experience with Last of Us Part 2, and we were really excited to start hearing your Ghost of Tsushima experiences and impressions. So let's turn it over to you, sir. Give us your rundown, where you're at, how you're feeling about the game. This is a game that some people have loved and praised. This is a game that some people have found some shortcomings in. So where are you with your experience?
I can't stop smiling when I think about it. I think this
that's
game.
That's a good sign, right?
Yeah,
that's a wonderful thing.
It's a game that's kind of tailor made for my tastes. So, basically, it's set in 13th century Japan. You start off right when the Mongols are invading, and then you kind of settle in as they've taken over the country, and you kind of do your thing to help, liberate your people, so to speak, on the island of Tsushima. The map is very well done. I don't want to say it's. I mean, it looks very pretty. I don't have a PS4 Pro. I just have the regular PS4. It looks very pretty. The character models are pretty good. I think they're squeezing a lot out of it, but they couldn't go super hyper detailed just because of the scale. So when you have areas like with leaves all blowing through and like the grass waving and everything. They had a I think they dialed back slightly. I've seen a few other PS4 games that maybe have slightly better models, but overall, when you take it all together, given the scale of it, the graphics are very good. The storyline I'm into. So you have the Mongols, and your character is kind of raised as a samurai, but starts using like assassin tactics through the game, and there's a little bit of an internal conflict there with whether it's honorable to do it that way. Like, do the ends justify the means? So there's a little bit of that exploration, which is interesting. The voice acting is top notch. The characters that I've met, like the main characters, are all interesting to me. So they do a great job with that. Cutscenes. This being a PS4 exclusive, you could risk having some exorbitant cutscenes, but no, the cutscenes aren't overly long, and they're spaced, I think, appropriately to deliver the story and get you back playing the game. So, the flow of the game is really well. So, when you actually get into the game itself, it's pretty much your modern open world action adventure title with some stealth. If you've played Horizon Zero Dawn or any of the recent Assassin's Creed games, you'll feel very much at home playing Ghost of Tsushima.
So does it give you icons on your map to hunt down as well, in those games do, or is it not as kind of directed in that same way?
Yes and no. I think they took some of those elements and refined them. So there's and polished it. So, for example, talking about the map, I think one of the drawbacks of those types of games is you have, like in Assassin's Creed, you have like the compass across the top, right? And in Horizon Zero Dawn, you have the mini map. You can always hit like the options button and jump in and see your map with some locations to go to on the map that you've discovered, or like where quests might be located, so you'd have to travel to that. But when you're actually in the game world, you don't have any indicators on the screen. What you have is the wind. So the wind kind of blows in the direction of the next location, and so like the leaves and everything will sway, and you just kind of follow the wind to where you got to go. And you can swipe up on the touchpad and have it do a little bit of a gust to show you if you're curious. But you're guided to the stuff, but like it doesn't cloud your vision on the map, and like just having like the wind kind of blow you and everything is kind of poetic in that sense. So I really liked that. The other thing, like crafting. So with crafting in Horizon Zero Dawn, you're out in the field, you collect a bunch of sticks and whatever, and oh man, I need some more arrows. Boom, Aloy makes arrows. You can't do that in this game. You have to find like a special merchant at one of the locations to have, to craft some new arrows for you, or upgrade your bow or whatever. So I actually didn't find that as to be an inhibitor. I found it to be more realistic because you're not like just relying on spamming arrows or whatever. It fits in like with the limitations of the story and the setting, and enhances, I think, the carrying out the missions in the field. But they don't make it like hard for people. So any settlement that you've discovered, you can immediately fast track to. There's fast travel to. There's no thing you have to unlock to get that. Can you get there? Yeah, you've been there. Okay, you can warp there, and the load times are really good. So the load times in Horizon Zero Dawn were kind of painful. Whenever you did anything, it took like a minute, and in this, within 10 seconds, 5-10 seconds, I was where I needed to be, and so that worked out. So
it's a lot of praise, a lot of good stuff that you're enjoying you loved, and you do kind of love the Sony prestige games, right? Like Horizon Zero Dawn, you really enjoyed, as you said. God of War, you really enjoyed. Where does this land in that kind of spectrum? Like, does it feel more polished and refined? Does it feel like it's learning lessons from those, or is it
I don't want to say that
because it is?
I think it's right
Yeah,
up
go
there
ahead.
with them, and I definitely see some little tweaks that make life easier. But it's, I mean, in another sense, it's a different game. Like it's a historical game. God of War is like, like um, like a myth game, and then you have like Horizon Zero Dawn, which is sci-fi. So they're all a little bit different, but I can tell that they've looked and taken things, but it's right up there with the like AAA single player experiences on PlayStation. Um, yeah. Hold on one second. I gotta jump out.
Okay.
I got another thought
Yeah,
I'll
no
come back
problem.
to.
We'll let you come back, but let's talk about another July game that came out. Also, 2 weeks ago on the last GX show, I was talking about Paper Mario and the Origami King, playing through kind of the first kind of section up through the first boss of the colored pencils. I haven't really had a chance to go back to it since then, but Prime, you've had a chance to play. How are you finding it? Are you playing it? Is your son playing it? What's the experience that you've had there?
Yeah, I'm the only one playing it right now. I actually after that first week, I haven't actually had a lot of chance to go back and play it, just because I want to kind of sit down and kind of have a lot of time to go through it, and I just haven't had that right now. I played it maybe like once over the weekend, this past weekend, just for like a few minutes, or not a few minutes, probably like a half hour, 45 minutes. So, but no, I've been really enjoying it so far. I like kind of like how you had mentioned in the last show that the humor is kind of what draws me into it. It's I didn't
I love
I
all those toads, right? Like all the
yeah.
random things they say. Yeah, it's fun.
I never played any of the other ones, so I wasn't really expecting. I didn't know like it was. I don't know if the other ones were funny like that too, but I just that kind of caught me off guard, and I was just go, wow, this is kind of different, from a Mario game, and just the play style, obviously the battling and stuff like that is obviously way different. But I'm having fun with it. I'm figuring out now with this game. I don't know why it's this game because you kind of have to have a tutorial to get through, to figure out, the play style. But I'm starting to figure out that I really don't like tutorials anymore. Like I wish I could just like in the old days where you had your instruction manual. Let me just kind of fumble through it, and then if I need to, do something, I'll go back and look through the manual. But you can't really do that. I mean, they have manuals, obviously online, and I think even through the game you can probably pull it up. But yeah, it just seems like to drag on sometimes when you get to those parts. It's like, come on, I just want to get to the battle, and get to the next funny part or something like that. So, but no, other than that, yeah, I'm really enjoying it. I just got to. I'm at the castle now, like we're at the very beginning. So I just got to
Oh,
like the little town
so you're
area.
pretty far. I mean, okay, so you just got back there. Okay, so
Yeah,
you're pretty early in this yet still. So
yeah. I haven't even got
okay,
past that. So
so you haven't
hopefully,
gotten kind of like the first elemental power or any of the other stuff.
no,
Yep.
yeah, all I
Okay.
have is like
Well,
the
you have some
wavy.
fun to look forward to. Yeah.
I have the wavy arms, and that's pretty much all I have right now. And the hammer and the boot. That's all I can do right now. So, um, but yeah, I'm still having fun with it though. Like I said, the humor is I think what gets me the most, and play style is fine. Like I don't mind. I don't know if there's any other kind of fighting like it does, like other than just like turning the wheels and then
Pretty
bashing.
much turning the wheels, or in the bosses that it's a maze to some
Yeah,
degree, and like you're yep, it's those two type of pieces.
yeah. But I mean that's fine. I mean it's not a big deal to me. At least in between you can kind of like explore and stuff. So it's not you're kind of not locked into that or the kind of like what do you call it? More like where you kind of have like just a hexagonal grid or whatever where you can only move like certain spaces. So at least you can
Sure.
move
Yep.
around. Yeah, it's a little
Strategy
more.
game type of thing.
Yeah, it's more free movement at least in between. So it's pretty cool. But yeah, I'm really enjoying it so far. So
Good. I'm glad. Yeah, I know that I'm going to come back to it. It's because of the way that it's designed. I find that I don't need to engage with it for long periods of time. Right. the combat is pretty much what the combat is, right? Like it is the puzzles get a little more complex, but at the same time, they also when I've played it in long stretches when I was first trying to get into it, after an hour I'm like, okay, I'm ready for something else. But it's not the battle system is not something where you mechanically you need to have things memorized, or if you set it down for a week and come back, you're going to forget something. It's a game I've enjoyed playing with my son as well, and it's kind of something I'm sure I'm going to kind of chip away at over the fall, and potentially because there's not a whole lot else out for Nintendo, I'll be fine chipping away at it, but that's a whole different
as far as we know.
Yep. So, all right. Well, Swiss, you are back. Give us some final thoughts here on where you're at. How far in are you in Ghost of Tsushima? I'm going to guess that this is going to be something you're going to be talking about for the next couple of shows as well.
Yeah.
Based on how you're
debating
feeling about it.
I'm debating how much I want to discuss tonight, because like I didn't really get into the combat and or some of like the special things that make it like so I mentioned you mentioned like comparing it to Horizon Zero Dawn and like God of War. There's some things that make it very special as a samurai game. I'll mention one or two of those, and then I'll leave maybe discussing some of like the more heavy mechanics in future shows, because I know that I've seen Agascles playing it when I've been on. So we'll definitely have more time to unpack. But you can so they take a lot of cues from classic samurai films like Kurosawa. So if any of you have seen what's the one with Yul Brynner and Steve McQueen and Eli Wallach, they have the seven gunslingers in the Old West or whatever. They save the Mexican, like the old.
Oh.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah, I can't remember what the name of the movie is.
That's really bugging me.
Yep, but it's based on the
It's literally based off of the Seven Samurai. It's like they just took a samurai film where the Seven Samurai defend the village.
Is it the Magnificent
That's
Seven?
it. That's it. Wow, I can't believe I forgot the name of the title. But yeah, so Kurosawa is like the original dude for that. And so he made a lot of these old like kind of spaghetti westerns, but samurai films. And so you can switch the display mode, and it's black and white with the film grain. So you can play it as if you're playing like an old samurai movie, which is cool. Another thing is like when you come to like an encampment or a village or something, or even a Mongol patrol on the road, you can hide and start sniping them, and they might get alerted. You can just walk into them and they'll see you, and they kind of have like a similar thing as Horizon Zero Dawn or like any of the Metal Gear Solids, where they kind of see you, or Zelda Breath of the Wild, I think something's there, and then they recognize you. Or they do what's called a standoff, and you can just basically come out and challenge them, samurai like old like standoff style. And then the screen like goes into like this like cinematic view, and you walk up, and like a bad guy walks up, and you just kind of ready your katana, and as soon as they make a move, you're like holding triangle, and as soon as they make a move, you release triangle, and if you're fast enough, you whip out your katana, and you have like a one-hit kill on the guy in slow motion. And then you can even upgrade that to like do multiple people, and like after that you'll go in the fight. If you're not fast enough, you end up starting the match or the battle with low health. So it kind of it's pretty cool, and it's pretty fun. And I've done it a lot. I was starting to like use like the sniper like stealth tactics like I would have in Horizon more, but I've gone to just doing a standoff every time because I enjoy it so much. So just these little things are enhancing it. There's other things that they do, but they've done a very great job of interweaving gameplay and the setting of samurai, like feudal Japan. So there's a lot more I can talk about, but like I said, I'll be discussing this game probably in the next few shows, and I know Agassicles is going to weigh in, but yeah, I definitely think that this is my game of the year so far.
Do you know how much you're into the game, like percentage wise done or?
They have quests, they call them tales, and there's a few there's three that you kind of hit at the beginning, like where there's three different characters that you kind of bounce around and do, like they're multi-part quests or multi-part tales, and I've done a few for each of them, but honestly, like, a lot of the stuff is at the bottom of the map that I have to go to next, so I start working my way down. But if I encounter anything, I stop and I do whatever it is that's around me. So I've been doing a lot of little side quests and secret stuff, and there's all sorts of little things you can discover, and I'm just taking my time going through the map. So story wise, I probably could have be farther along than I am, but I'm being very methodical and just enjoying my time going through the island.
Nice.
Cool. Well, I know that is a game that you had pre-ordered and you were excited about, so I'm glad to hear that it is living up and even surpassing some of your expectations. So, excellent. Well, let's go to a game that I pre-ordered mainly to get into the beta this past week, which was Marvel's Avengers. So this past week, it was the PlayStation 4 pre-order beta. This coming weekend here on the 14th of August is pre-orders for Xbox and PC, along with an open beta for PlayStation. And then in one more week later, it's an open beta again for everybody. So lots of opportunities for people to play this game, which I think is good, because there's been plenty of speculation around this game, plenty of kind of negative press when it was first shown, plenty of conversation about how the kind of looter shooter aspect is going to fit in with a comic book hero game, how loot, the whole loot grind aspect is going to work when loot doesn't actually change how your character looks, that it's not it's holographic loot. Whether that's bracelets or rib cages or other types of things that upgrade your characters, that it certainly helps the numbers go up and sometimes even add some status effects to it, like some cryo damage in terms of freeze damage, or certain chances, increasing percentage of chances depending on the rarity of the gear. So it has some of those same types of kind of ARPG kind of Diablo-like aspects in terms of the modifiers on loot. But they also needed a beta, at least from some of my experiences in terms of reading about some of the server stability and matchmaking when you get to the war table aspect, when you kind of get through the initial story missions parts and get into the grindy bits of the kind of strike-like aspects of missions where you're paired up with other people. Even in the kind of single-player story bits, there's still a few spots where I kind of froze up, clipped through part of a wall, kind of stuck into part of a wall at one point in time. So there's definitely some beta aspects going on with this, but I wasn't really sure what to think, right? Like, there's the Destiny part of me, the Diablo part of me, the Borderlands part of me that is really excited about, just enjoys that type of game. There's the Marvel comic fan in me that, loves to discover little Easter eggs in games and knows the history enough to be able to appreciate it. And then there's the gamer part of me that said, oh, this all just looks kind of cut and paste, samey, where I wasn't really sure how to feel about the game. And so I came into it I honestly didn't, because of coming into the beta feeling all those different things. I watched my son play it for a little while, and then didn't actually sit down with it until the last day of the beta, because it was that kind of emotional tug of war of, do I really want to invest in this? If he didn't have a great experience or thought it was okay, and this is somebody I son 100%ed, well, not quite 100%. He's in like the 90% of Spider-Man, Marvel Spider-Man. So he really enjoyed that type of game. But when I sat down with it, it was a great ride. The opening mission, as you've read at this point and heard about, right? The opening mission is kind of a tutorial of all the different characters, and unlike a Nintendo tutorial, Osiris, it does not put you to sleep. It does not get overly wordy. It just kind of throws you in and gives you a chance to kind of bounce around with a couple different characters. Then you go to a story mission piece, and by the time you kind of get through the story mission, then you unlock the war table, which gives you a couple different options in terms of multiple kind of strike-like games, strike-like missions. So it was, the characters feel fun. I enjoy them. I think they feel like, they feel like who they're supposed to be. There's definitely some conversation online in terms of the fact that the characters all kind of feel the same in some ways, and they kind of have to, because it's they can't design a repeatable mission only for certain characters, right? So there is some type of that leveling off, but in the skill trees there are some things that make them feel a little unique, and in some ways the difference of a ranged attack versus a close attack. I think one of the things where I walked away after playing the Hulk feeling like I got better at him. Like at first it was kind of button mashy, but then as I learned to read the icons, and it was a lot of kind of, a little bit of combo, light attack, heavy attack, dodge out of the way. It's not quite as smooth and as fluid as like Arkham combat or even Spider-Man combat, because you're not kind of snapping to another player. So in some ways it also feels kind of button mashy because of that. Like I'm not getting into that kind of rhythm game aspect of, punch, building up my combo meter, jump to another guy, keep the combo meter going, dodge out of the way, get the next guy, that kind of Arkham kind of rhythm. So in some ways it does feel kind of just like a classic brawler with a little bit of, ranged attacks in it. So this is why I want to play more of it this weekend. That I'm still kind of mixed on it at this point. I see a lot of potential in it, but I also see how it could maybe not come together in the best of ways. I think I walked away after the first week, after playing it for a couple different hours, my first weekend in the beta, feeling like I'm really interested in what this game is going to become. I don't know if it's going to be what I don't know that it's something that on opening day is going to be stable enough or ready to have, or even it's going to have a lot of stuff, but maybe it's going to take a couple weeks of players to find what the balance is, right? Because this is a live game, they're going to be doing some balancing issues. So I could see where I may still keep my pre-order because I am a superhero fan. And I may still keep my pre-order because Destiny is pushed back until November, and that may be a reason enough for me to have a September game to play. But at the same time, I could see that this is something that I'm sure is going to get some good discount sales come the holidays because of it's a Square published game. It's a Crystal Dynamics game, and the Tomb Raider games definitely got discounted, but also that it's a Marvel game that's going to have lots of holiday appeal. So by that time, there's going to be probably more content. It's going to be more balanced. It's going to be something that if somebody's picking up for, a holiday sale discount, it certainly seems like they're going to get a lot of game out of there. So something I will come back to on the next GX show because I'll have 2 more waves. I also kind of want to try it on Xbox to see how that holds up and plays. Similar to No Man's Sky, when I'm running it, my PlayStation 4 Pro sounds like I couldn't tell if my air conditioner fan was on or if my PlayStation was running because it was just humming like crazy. So I'm curious on what that performance looks like on the Xbox as well. So let's move from one beta game into another beta game, but one that's got a little more wider release now that it is on the Xbox. So Ubisoft's Battle Royale Hyperscape, which came to PC maybe a month ago at this point, maybe a little longer. Now is this week it came out on Xbox, and Prime, you've had a chance to play it. How does it play? Have you played it on PC as a comparison, or what are your thoughts?
No, I didn't get a chance to play it on PC. Just on Xbox so far. I'm really enjoying the game. Actually, I kind of said in the comments when it first came out. It reminds me because of the powers or hacks as they're called. It kind of reminds me of Shadowrun back on the 360. Just as far as the like I said, as far as the game kind of gameplay, like Shadowrun was more of kind of like objective. You had to hold this objective for so long and do that kind of stuff. This is just total battle royal. So far, they only have the solo and the squads right now, which is only a squad of 3, which I kind of like. Actually, I like the trio in battle royals a little bit better than a full four-person squad. And you get a little bit more help than a 2-man squad, so it's kind of nice, or duos. So when I can get in a game, I'm enjoying it because it takes me. I don't know. I didn't get a chance to look online to see if this is like a common thing, and even before the Xbox, but it takes me like 4 to 6 tries normally on average to get into a game. Like you gotta hit it, and you kind of load into. You first load into like a main hub just of your area. It's not like a main hub for everybody. So you go into the battle royale part. You pick which type of game you want to play, squads or whatever, solos, and then you kind of load in, and it'll just sit there, and then it like times out, and it's like you got to do it again, keep doing it and do it. So it's, I don't know, like I said, I don't know if that was just like and that happened, I think all 3 days that I've played it so far, so it wasn't just like a first day thing. But like I said, I didn't get a chance to see if that was a common thing before too, or even for anybody else. And I tried it on both my Xboxes. I'm trying to think if I tried on my S. Yes, I tried on my S too, which is actually hardwired into my, I got hardwired cable into my modem. So I mean, it wasn't my internet. It wasn't just because I was on Wi-Fi. I don't think so, or unless there's just something wrong with my network. But yeah, once you get in there, you have just like any other battle royale. You have this big map, fairly big map that you drop down into. You find your guns. There's classes of guns, so it's more like a Fortnite kind of weapon system than PUBG or one of the Call of Duty ones where you kind of have like you can mod it, so depending on how different attachments and stuff you pick out. So it's kind of nice that you just pick up the weapons, and you just got to find the best rarity, and you're good to go. The different hack
kind of upgrade automatically as well, right? As you find similar ones.
Yeah, that's the kind of thing that's.
Yep.
Yeah, they call it fusion. You can when you find the same type of weapon, so it kind of powers it up. I think up to 5 levels, I believe. So it's kind of nice. It's kind of cool that they do that, and it's not like you find a weapon and you just discard it. So that's kind of nice. Like I said before, you got the hacks. So you got like invisibility. You have teleport, which teleport was actually a little bit better in Shadowrun. This one seems kind of short, and I'm not really sure if you can actually teleport through a wall yet. I didn't even actually try that yet, but. There was like a little column that I tried to teleport through, and I couldn't even do that. It was like out in the open, so I mean, I don't know. Maybe it was just because it was a shorter range. Maybe I just wasn't close enough, to it. But I don't know if you can actually teleport through things, which actually would be nice because I remember using that a lot, during Shadowrun. You got like a kind of protective ball that kind of which acts as a shield that that kind of goes around you, and you actually bounce around in it, which I thought was kind of funny. So you kind of escape that way. So it's kind of cool. There's offensive and defensive different powers that you can acquire, but it's a lot of fun. The gameplay is actually pretty tight. I didn't have any problems with it. Kind of Apex was fun, but I had a problem with the controls, just at the movement. Here you can. It's not as forgiving as Assassin's Creed, where you can kind of climb on everything. You have to have some kind of either ledge or like there's like signs and like air conditioners that are kind of like sticking out of the buildings. You can't just like hook onto like a window ledge that's too small. You won't hook onto that, so you just fall down. You don't there's no fall damage, so that's nice. I guess that would kind of break it if you're able to just climb on everything. So I mean, it's definitely a vertical game, so you definitely got to watch above you at all times if you're up on the ground or on a lower building and stuff like that. So The map itself it's just a big city basically. So I mean it's all right. There's not a lot of variation to it other than just the building sizes basically. They all kind of look the same. There's just some taller ones, or shorter ones. So that's a little kind of a negative, I guess, on my part. But it's not like nah, I'm not gonna stop playing it just because of that. But hopefully at some point they either start doing like a COD or Fortnite type of change to the world, or if they just have different maps like PUBG has been doing as of the last few years. So, but other than that, like I said, the only big thing so far is just taking so long to get into a game. I just wish, hopefully, that'll be fixed, or if it's just something on my end, I have to, like I said, I got to do some research on that part. But it's pretty fun though. I really, even after that first day, I was like, oh yeah, this is kind of different. It's kind of cool. So I'm definitely gonna keep going on it and see, see how it pans out. And for a beta, and I mentioned this too in the comments, they have a fully functional marketplace and battle pass already. So I mean, okay, it's kind of weird that they call it a beta, but so obviously you can, it's $10 just like any other battle pass, and you unlock stuff as you progress. So although played, I think like I said 3 days, and I think I'm only at like a level 3 maybe. So I didn't get the chance to see, or if you can even like kind of scroll through the battle pass to see how many levels there are like you can in other ones. But I don't know, if there's 100 levels, that's going to take you a long time to get to it, like on most battle passes. So I'll have to check that out and just see if it's not as as high. But it just seemed like it took like a long time to power up, or to level up, even just from level 1 to 2. So we'll have to see how that goes too. But yeah, no, I'll keep up with it though, for now at least.
Yeah, I think that was my question of as our resident battle royale expert here, if this is going to be in your rotation, if it takes the place of something else, or if it's got enough unique pieces that it makes sense to just keep chipping away at it and intermixed with your other games.
Yeah, I'll probably replace it with the Call of Duty for now, and just kind of do that in Fortnite, just because there's starting to be a lot of them now out there. So it's going to be hard to. And I was thinking about that when this one came out, of like, because I buy the Fortnite. Well, I didn't even have to buy the Fortnite Battle Pass because I just kind of save up the V-Bucks in there, and I can always just buy it through there. But like the other ones, like I bought a COD one, which I only got to I think like level 30. I think that's the only other one I've bought right now. But I'm actually starting to think now. I was like, all right, there's all these games, and even PUBG too. They have one now. They have a battle pass, and I'm trying to think like, am I gonna have to start rotating out battle passes, or like what am I gonna, how am I gonna do this? Because I do like, I mean, I still enjoyed PUBG. I still like that one. Warzone, I started to get back into because I was playing with a friend. So it's just, I mean, I don't have to buy the battle pass, but it's kind of cool to get the different skins and stuff. So it's kind of in the back of my mind how I'm gonna juggle that kind of that part of it now.
So let's jump from one battle royale game to another one as our last game of the night here, and I've been playing Fall Guys. Swiss, have your kids, or have you and Vela tried this game at all yet? This is the Devolver Digital, the PlayStation Plus game of the month, the kind of Wipeout-esque game.
No, I haven't tried it, although I've been seeing some chatter about it on Discord.
Yeah, so I've played a couple games, but not nearly as much as my kids have. One day last week I got a message from my son. I got the crown, right? This was, it was his chicken dinner. It was his win in Fall Guys. So Fall Guys is 60 players in a variety of rounds, 5 different rounds, with a smaller number of qualifiers each round, and each time it almost randomly matches you into a level. It also seems like sometimes the randomness is in a very shallow pool and we may get stuck in some of the same levels, but some levels are, there are a series of doors, and some are fake doors and real doors, and you don't know which ones break down or not, and so you're kind of following the herd. Some levels are a series of splitting platforms. Some are teeter-totters that go back and forth depending on how many people are on one side or the other, and you have to make your way progressively across a number of them. Some levels are a soccer match or an egg collecting. Some are a mini game of memory. Some are this, kind of giant climb up a tower where either walls are moving or there's slime coming or there's giant fruit that's bouncing down, wiping you out as you go across. And so it's a lot of fun variety. It's relatively simple. You can jump, you can grab, and that's about it in terms of your controls, right? There's not a whole lot there. The jumps are a little floaty. The grabbing is not quite precise. Or that there's still a little bit of, my son and I were talking about this tonight, there's still a little bit of maybe netcode lag in some of the grabs where it doesn't always seem like somebody's right there on top of you when they grab you. Some of the games are about how long can you hold on to, not even how long, can you be the one holding on to the tail or have a certain, aspect on you when the timer runs out. So there are some games that are kind of skill-based in terms of getting a sense of the timing in your jumps, and there are a lot of games that are kind of random in terms of some of this as well. And so there's some kind of Mario Party aspects to this in terms of stripping out the board game aspect and just playing the mini games. It feels that way, except unlike Mario Party, you're not, the last place person doesn't get 3 stars at the end and comes in first place, right? Like there are times in some of the mini games where it feels like you can learn and get a little better, and there are also times when some of it just feels like there's luck and randomness to it. And so I find it a lot of fun in short bursts. I've seen my sons get frustrated in longer term periods of it because of the randomness. These are also my same sons who love Mario Party but also end up having to have a parental intervention when they were little with Mario Party, right? Like Saturday mornings, they'd rush downstairs with the Wii to go play Mario Party, and then within a half hour, we'd hear them yelling at each other because Mario Party did what Mario Party does, and it frustrates. No matter how old you are in terms of players, it'll still frustrate you. So there's still some of that in here as well, but at the same time, it's a lot of fun. It's pretty easy to consume. It is not something where the rounds don't take very long. I can get in a couple matches in 20 minutes. It's sitting down for a TV sitcom versus a 2-hour movie, right? Like there's a little bite-sized component to this. There's a little palate cleanse aspect to it, but it's a lot of fun. I don't know. I know that it's something I'll kind of keep coming back to, but in kind of small bursts because of that.
Now, is this only on? I saw that it's on Steam, PS4. Is it also on the Switch, or is it like PS4, Xbox, PC? Do you know?
No, it looks like just PS4 and PC.
Ah, okay.
PS4 and PC and Steam. Yep. So,
yeah.
Sorry if I froze up there for a minute.
Yeah, it looks. I was gonna say you started discussing Mario Party, and it seems interesting. I was gonna say it's like Mario Party Royale. It almost looks like.
Yeah, it's a lot of. I think it was a really wise, similar to Rocket League, which I know, Prime, you're still a active player in, and they just went, free to play on Epic Store.
They're going to at the end of the month. Yep.
Yep.
A couple weeks.
That Rocket League was a game that kind of launched on PlayStation Plus as a free game, which really boosted its kind of online presence and user base. And this game does the exact same thing, and I think that was a really smart move. What's the price on Steam? Is it $20?
It looks like $15 or $20.
Let's see.
Yeah, that seems about right. Like a $15, $20 game.
$20.
I know that it's a $30 game. Yeah.
If you get the the collector's bundle, it's $30.
What's in the collector's bundle? There's unlocks, there's cosmetics to buy. You get 2 different types of currency, but you can buy one of those types of currency.
Yeah, it just looks like you get extra currency and extra costume or something type thing. So nothing special. There's a DLC that's $15. That's looks like another costume pack or something like that. But
Sure. Yeah, that's pretty much where their microtransactions are, is in
Yeah.
costume packs. Yep. So yeah, a lot of fun. Something it's a breezy summertime game, right? It's your beach read of summer games.
Well,
So
I was gonna say, like, I was about to download Hyperscape so I could talk about it on the show and play it, and then I remembered I don't like battle royale games. So I was like, you know what? I'm just not even gonna spend any time on it. And but Fall Guys actually looks like something that would intrigue me. So
yeah, the concept of like a platformer battle royale is kind of a neat pitch. So all right, gentlemen, we have come to the end of our time, but we've got our game assignment here to kick out for us. So last week we had the kind of big news related to the delay of Halo Infinite. Halo Infinite was scheduled to launch with Xbox Series X, um, but now it's been delayed until 2021. So, and as we were just talking about Ghost of Tsushima, talking about the exclusivity of something like Fall Guys, or even we've got lots of potential um, exclusive titles, but whether or not those exclusive titles are really are key, are they really something that hooks a player? I think Swiss is a great example of someone who looks forward to those kind of Sony exclusive titles, who's really enjoyed and engaged with them over the console life generation. But it's a question of how meaningful this will be coming into the next generation. So, do they make a difference for people who are choosing their consoles? Does the delay of Halo Infinite make anybody's choice of consideration? As Agasicles asked us in Discord, does it change your consideration in terms of what the purchases for the next gen look like? So what our assignment here is to spend some time with a console exclusive, from this generation, and to talk about how that affects kind of our brand loyalty, our lens in terms of how we look at console exclusives for the next generation as well. So this is good, and I think this is a little bit of teacher's pet, as Agasicles and SwissGuard I have both know that they want to play some more Ghost of Tsushima, so they have crafted an assignment that allows them to be successful. So Osiris, you and I sitting in the back of the class, not bringing in the apple for the teacher, we need to try to figure out what we're going to play in this round as well.
Yeah, I might bend the rule a little on this one too, myself.
Oh, so what does that mean? How are you going to bend the, like you're going to choose a Ukrainian developer? Or...
No, we'll see. I don't know. I might play something on Xbox, but I might do something different though. We'll see.
Okay. Ooh, a good tease. Good tease. So,
Yeah, that's right.
Excellent. So in 2 weeks from now, we'll be back with this analysis of first-party games, console-exclusive games, in terms of what this looks like for us and our gaming experiences. And also, in between then, next week we'll be back with a deep dive episode. We are here next week. It is it's going to be hosted by Agasicles and SwissGuard. It looks like it's just a two-man show next week. So.
And actually, the GX show is just going to be the two of us, so we better pick something for this assignment.
Well, that seems crazy. I bet we're going to have to shoehorn some people in here. So, because unless they're just going to assume that they're going to enjoy Ghost, so we already know what Swiss's allegiance is. So, which is just fine. So yes, next week I'm sure part of our news analysis will be about the Halo Infinite delay, and probably anything else that pops up in between there, although we've got a number of other Microsoft-related stories. But we've got, between now and next week, I'm sure we're going to have more, as we always do, to fill our gaming news cycle, and plenty for us to dive into on our deep dive episodes. So please join us back next week and thank you for joining us tonight, tomorrow, whenever you're listening to this, when you're watching it, and in the platform of your choice. So thank you for being here. And for myself, DBqhams, for Osiris Prime, and SwissGuard, that has been the Enough to Keep Going podcast on the E2KG network. This was episode 156. So, as grown-ups who game, as parents, as professionals, play the games you love, and love the games you play, and those you play with. Good night.